welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who, in preparation of being attacked from someone that attacked him 20 years ago, has filled his apartment full of life-size dummies. So if the person comes into his house, he can blend in easily with those life-size dummies. It's Adam Clement.
Thanks for having me again. And I should clarify, that's not entirely off base. I actually collect a ton of nerd shit. I wouldn't say they're so big as, mannequins, but, it's not entirely an unfounded joke.
I mean, but if Michael Myers broke into your house, he couldn't blend in amongst the figures.
No, I mean, I'm also in New York, so what I pay for in an apartment, you don't really get a whole lot of real estate. So I assure you, I'm looking at my Michael Myers mask right now, actually, the one I got signed by John Carpenter. And there's really actually no space that Michael would be able to stand in here without me knowing very readily. So I think I'm pretty safe.
That's why I loved living in Korea when I lived over there. I just had a room and then I had a bathroom, a nice size apartment for South Korea. Like, they really took care of me, the company I work for. But if I was ever freaked out after watching a movie and doing a hunt through my apartment, I would just look around.
Do a quick 180 or 360, yeah.
There was one door to get in, and that thing was solid and had like a deadbolt and like one of those things you put on it. So, I mean, I was safe.
The charms of, being poor and destitute and not having a very large apartment or home, really.
Yeah, you can just look around. Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, maybe Lori should have considered that for her 40-year security detail, but I suppose we're getting ahead of ourselves, aren't we?
Well, I guess do you think she moved to the middle of nowhere? All right, so guys, we're going to talk about the new 2018 Halloween. We're going to be all over the place. Actually, I want to tell you something, Adam. I just joined a podcast called The Lambcast, headed by Jay Cluett. Great dude. He actually joins all the blogs together into the large association of movie blogs. And there's a lot of different blogs on there, a lot of Tomato Meter approved critics, really smart people. And they made the mistake of bringing me back onto another podcast. And we talked about the Scream franchise. And you have all these very smart people dropping great points about the score and this. And I'm talking about how strong the garage doors are in the Scream franchise. I'm talking about Matthew Lillard eating a cotton candy monster in Scooby-Doo 2. I'm going off on tangents. So they and then I got other people off on tangents. Then I swear to you, I got everyone going Matthew Lillard is a great actor. You let me in a room.
He is great.
You let me in a room and I can really do some damage. And so, but it's fun. So if you want to listen to it, go to the Lambcast, Scream franchise, Twitter, go look for them there and listen to it. I'm great on it. I'm
gonna go listen to that right now. And I want to say, you're right. Matthew Lillard is a great actor because he was in the Twin Peaks revival and he was excellent. And, now that you mention it, I'm starting to think those garage doors in Scream they didn't really come with the whole body sensor detector thing, right? They just sort of kept going.
They broke somebody's back.
Yeah.
In the fourth one.
So I'll be sure to check that out. That does sound really awesome.
And I also asked the host if he's ever watched Pauly Shore movies.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. And my introduction, too, was pretty weird as well. I forget what it was.
I would never go to an interview or any meeting of the professional sort and ask, much less mention, Pauly Shore. But I suppose
he was a thing in the 90s, Adam. If you're a fan of film, that was very patronizing, Adam. If you're a fan of film,
I'm the patronizing one.
If you're a fan of film, you need to appreciate all the trends and patterns and what happened in the 90s. And during the 90s, Pauly Shore had a good run that we saw play out. So I kind of...
What was your favorite Pauly Shore movie?
Kramer vs. Kramer. No, I'm joking. So he started with Encino Man, and then he had Son-in-Law, then he had In the Army Now, then he had Jury Duty, then he had Biodome. So
it kind of sounds like he had an Ernest career for a little bit, right?
No, Ernest was huge. Ernest was
right, but In the Army Now and these sort of situational, take the star and put him in this scenario type deal.
Don't compare Pauly Shore to Ernest is my hero.
You just were putting up all this stuff about how Pauly Shore was a legitimate film, and now you're saying Ernest somehow trumps that.
Well, Ernest was so beloved in his commercial days. They filmed a commercial with him where Vern was really mean to Ernest, and he wouldn't let Ernest into a Christmas party. People got so angry when they saw that advertisement that they had to film a 15-second advertisement for New Year's where Ernest hits Vern in the face with a pie to get him back for being so mean to him during Christmas. That's how beloved Ernest was. But
rest in peace.
I digress, and you know what's funny? I'm being very patronizing about Pauly Shore and Jim Varney movies. This is what happens.
This is what the viewers come for, or the listeners, excuse me. This is an audio podcast.
You can't take
This is
me
what
anywhere.
they come for.
That's right.
No.
Hot takes. Moderate, no, lukewarm takes.
Not quite spicy takes delivered to your ear holes.
I mean, they're hot. It's just not spicy.
Well, you know, hot's subjective too. Not everybody comes for the same kind of heat.
You're right. So I mean, I'm a moderate. You know, like I'm not lukewarm's gross. Like that's like a one of those
that's kind of like saying the word moist, right? It's a little bit of a turnoff.
It's like having a handshake where they don't really shake your hand. You know
I'm getting very uncomfortable, Mark. I think we should continue.
Exactly. So, all right. So I gotta say, Encino Man's probably his best movie because I know they're digging a pool. He's with Sean Astin, which I'm big on people digging pools. I'm big on swimming pools because in Airheads one time, this woman asked Adam Sandler what he was thinking about, and he said swimming pools. So now when I don't feel like answering a question and people ask me, what are you thinking about? I say swimming pools, which is a little history into myself. And I'm talking about Airheads.
Does that really work?
Yeah. Well, no, they hate it, but I love it.
Okay.
You know, so I just do it.
I'm glad it gives you joy.
I like making references from 90s movies that aren't even cult classics. So I would say Encino Man's the best. I've watched Son-in-Law the most. I got Son-in-Law from a Columbia House thing, and I thought the scene where the little kid eats the sandwich was funny. I liked when Link from Encino Man popped back up, but that causes a whole bunch of timeline things, because that means either Pauly Shore is a clone or he's triplet, because they don't recognize each other.
I mean, if we're going to get on the subject of timelines, I think there's plenty to discuss with, of course, Halloween 2018, because where to even start? Right? They
just forgot everyone except for the first one. But H2O is better. Did you just swing me from my Pauly Shore talks?
I think I saved those listeners out there from another Pauly Shore podcast, because let's face it, how many of these Pauly Shore rants have you done yet?
I'm going to do a Pauly Shore commentary for all of his movies that people can listen to. What do you think, Adam?
I think the Rotten Tomatoes audience is not yet ready for this.
I'm too niche for niche audiences.
Somebody's got to corner that market.
Yeah, that's right. So I think you're right, but I do have AA'd out of the AV Club and Scott Mendelson getting my back from Forbes when they say that H2O was a better movie than this new Halloween.
That's a really... First of all, you've made your opinion clear. And where that sort of sits on the, like-dislike meter, I'll leave to you. I'm going to surprise you maybe. I see it. I see that argument. And you're not entirely wrong. In a lot of ways, stylistically especially, I agree.
They went to somewhere new. Lori took the fight to Michael. She wasn't like, I'm going to go back to my house full of mannequins and let Michael stuff somebody in a closet.
All right. Yeah, there's the proactive versus, I guess, what you could argue is reactive in Halloween 2018. But
she has a very nice relationship with Adam Arkin.
Yes, that's correct.
LL Cool J is always good. And I don't know. I think filmed-wise, like the Kevin Williamson dialogue grates a little bit on my ears now.
Yeah, it's very dated for its time, but I also think, and interestingly enough, not all of his script made it. Not all of that dialogue is his. I'm not sure which portions really belong to him, but that obviously went through a number of rewrites and drafts. And you're not alone. I mean, I think just to scale this back a little bit, and obviously we're going to get into spoilers, in time, but with this movie, you have to talk about, right, the hype and the build-up, and, it's 40 years, you're bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis, which, again, it's only been 20 since Halloween H2O and, her death and resurrection, but it's been a long time, and a lot of people were really looking forward to this. You don't just knock out that many sequels and retcon that many movies without having, some confidence and gumption to do so. So, yeah, I think going into this movie, certainly myself, and I would presume you, had a lot of hype, had a lot of expectations. And yeah, I think it's fair to say the reception is generally positive. Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh, but it is scattered. It is scattered in a lot of ways, I think, that are deserved. But you're not alone, I don't think, in having a preference for H2O.
You know what kind of let me down? Now, listen, if I had to give this movie a grade, I would give it like a fresh. I wouldn't give it a rotten.
Sure.
So this movie, for me, I would not, and it's just my opinion, but I would definitely have it be a fresh score. I guess the thing I was most disappointed is I was a big fan of David Gordon Green from George Washington, All the Real Girls. I'm also a big fan of Danny McBride. Megan, my wife and I, we love Vice Principals, that show. Right. I mean, with Walton Goggins, Danny McBride. I love his kind of he has this very mean humor, but there's heart to it. But it's like a heart. some mean humor I hate, but for some reason his mean humor works because there's like
There's a
weird
sentiment to it.
yeah, and when I think Danny McBride is one of my favorite people to listen to when he's on podcasts because he is a very smart and funny guy.
Yeah, interesting to hear him talk. I mean, he went to film school, of course, with David Gordon Green, so there is that learned vocabulary there.
He's super chill, and he's one of my favorite. Like, if I had to do like a dinner for five with Jon Favreau, I would definitely bring Danny McBride in because I just like hearing him talk about all this kind of stuff in his career. But for this, like, I don't know, this movie, it didn't feel like a David Gordon Green, Danny McBride movie, and I was kind of hoping for that. Not like, I'm not gonna say this is Force Awakens-y, but there are a ton of Easter eggs. There's a ton of familiar beats. It's essentially
Callbacks,
H2O.
yeah.
There's some dialogue that's even the same. There's the same, escape on Halloween. There's the same beats. And so for me, I was really hoping that they would take it in their direction. Like, I know Rob Zombie, he kind of went to a straight remake in the first Halloween, but at least Halloween 2 to a certain extent and the beginning of Halloween 1 was a Rob Zombie movie. And that's what I was hoping for. But I'm wrong because the box office results are huge.
Well, like I said, yeah, we got 40 years anniversary, and I think a lot of people were I think a lot of horror fans were upset, knowing that the history was going to be, written off. But you've got a general audience who, I think at their heart, with, the success of It and Stranger Things, are really looking for an older, more nostalgic horror that they can get back into easily, right? And you can't really do that following these Rob Zombie movies. But to your point, you sort of mentioned liking Gordon Green's style from earlier movies. And I honestly thought, look, we're talking about a director who's sort of produced and directed independent film darlings and some stories about, tragedy and triumph, Stronger, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, love that movie.
In comedies, right, with Your Highness or whatever. And honestly, I think they're fine. The ones I've seen, I enjoyed enough. But I didn't really think him coming into a horror movie, I was nervous, right? And I think that shows. I was worried that he wouldn't have that mastery, right, leading into this. And with this movie, as much as I enjoyed it, and I do like it, I'll get that right off the bat, I do think the focus is lacking, right? You've got a lot of characters in this movie. You've got, moments of humor that I think work, but you've got, a lot of storylines and threads that just sort of don't connect. And for different reasons, of course. But one thing that stuck out to me, as much as, again, I enjoyed the movie, that really surprised me and delighted me in part, but as a whole sort of lacked atmosphere. Now, you can talk about atmosphere in different kinds of movies, but in this case, you don't make an anniversary movie like this without some sort of atmospheric nod to John Carpenter, right? He just has this knack for lingering his camera a little bit too long and, slow-moving music and that kind of thing. And, of course, he came back to do the music, which I absolutely adore. I love it. I literally own it on, 3 different versions of vinyl. But with this, it didn't, it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of atmosphere. It just sort of moved from bit to bit, and it was a little fast for my taste. And I think even when you look at the better sequels, not better than this necessarily, but the better ones of the older sequels, like Halloween 4, even Halloween 2, they at least were able to fake that aesthetic, right? That slower moving dread. And I think that's what I was mostly missing from this movie, apart from some really just out there dubious writing choices, which I guess we'll get into later. But yeah, I think for me, I could have used a little bit more of that aping on the Carpenter part.
If somebody would be, hey Mark, explain this movie to me, really quickly. I'll be like, everyone's mean to Jamie Lee Curtis. Michael escapes. Jamie Lee Curtis drives around in a truck for a long time. Michael Myers gets hit by a car. He attacks Jamie in a house full of mannequins and stuffs a dude in a closet.
I mean, that's a rather literal interpretation of it. I think that's a bit unfair. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this too. I do agree that the Halloween H2O rendition of Laurie, right, had a pretty empowering finale, which I don't think is a spoiler. We all sort of more or less understand by now, hopefully, what happened with that. She sort of lets her, kid and his girlfriend go escape, and she marches back into the school with an axe and screams Michael like she's looking for him. It's a very, tables have turned type scenario. So with this one, I think it's a more realistic approach of what maybe happens to people, right, when they encounter a trauma that intense. They either become, I think as one character, Dr. Sartain says, they become sort of off the rails loony, or they sort of wallow in recluse, right? And I think that's what we see with her. And maybe I won't presume to know how much of this was deliberate or wanted to coincide with the times, with what we're seeing with women sort of confronting things en masse with Me Too. But I did appreciate those scenes where we see her crack. And that's not really something we saw a whole lot of in H2O, right? We saw her dealing with it with her alcoholism and that type of thing, but we see that trend happen in this movie, and she is very literally kind of bursting at the seams, in public and just breaking down. And it's that I think surprised me a lot, because that affected me, perhaps more than it maybe affected others, or even other scenes that were sad or terrifying. I found myself thinking about those scenes and her performance, which needless to say I thought was fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, she's very good. It's just, so she finally leaves. Whatever. She goes to visit her daughter, who Judy
Allison,
Greer.
Yeah. Excuse me. Real daughter. Yeah.
Karen, and then her husband Ray, played by Toby Huss, who I always think is funny. They have a very cool daughter. I like Allison a lot. I think the actress is very good. Andy Matichak. I liked her a lot. Very friendly. But there's a scene where they're at dinner, and Jamie Lee leaves her house. Lori. I'm just gonna say Jamie Lee. Jamie Lee leaves her house. She shows up at this public place, and she's nervous. And so she takes a swig of wine, which she does in Halloween H2O as well. But so she takes a swig of wine, and Judy Greer immediately is like, "Oh, this always happens. This is the worst."
Right.
And it's like, if your mom was just like a nutcase, but like if Judy Greer, hey Judy, or Judy Greer, why does your mom act like this? Well, and 40 years ago, some guy slaughtered her friends and tried to murder her. So I mean, I guess you grew up with her and she was kind of squirrely, but you kind of understand. And now she's out and she's just drinking wine, probably to cope as a mechanism, and you're being horrible to her.
Do you see that as more of a scripting lapse or failure, or do you see that as sort of an acting misstep? Because I got the impression that she's over it. She's endured this horrific childhood where she had to prepare physically and mentally, and she's just like, shit, this again. And she knows that she can't do anything about it, because nobody can. I
mean, I would have liked it if she just would have tried. She's like, "Oh yeah, I called your grandmother," and she didn't.
Right.
Like maybe she keeps trying, and then Lori keeps letting her down. And so
no, I think that's probably evident on both sides. Yeah.
Because we don't know them, and so the first interaction, she's just not liking Laurie Strode, and so you're kind of like, "Who's this?" Like she was almost murdered, and obviously it's been 40 years. Her childhood was pretty traumatic. We're talking about Judy Greer, the daughter of Laurie, or Karen. I don't know.
Karen, I believe is her name. Yeah.
And so I get it. I get the annoyance, but we haven't seen any of that. We're just told. And it's
the exposition is a bit heavy on Michael, less so on Laurie and her family, and I would have really liked more of that. I mean, I think we can both agree the Jamie Lee, Judy Greer, Andy Matichak relationships were pretty good, in my opinion.
And I loved at the end. We're going to the end. When it was Karen, Allison, and Laurie, 3 generations standing over Michael. I love that.
Very literally.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And I like, it's a trap, and I like that Judy Greer got her gangster moment. She wasn't just in Jurassic World playing like a divorced mom or an Ant-Man.
Right.
Actually, I like her in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But, because her and Bobby Cannavale just have fun. But I wanted to be like, have more of like, hell yeah, like, yeah, but I never felt that.
Yeah, and I think, no, you're onto something, and I think maybe that's the fault of the marketing, or maybe it's just my obsessive devotion to this franchise, where I pretty much mapped out the beats of the story long in advance, and I didn't come away terribly surprised. And I wouldn't call myself an obsessive to the point where I looked up the script online, but again, from a lot of the trailers and even the stuff that wasn't in the movie that was shown in the trailers, I guess they had some different cuts and rewrites when the test screening happened, and they did the finale over. But at any rate, yeah, I just I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of surprise on my part. Like, I felt emotionally satisfied coming away with the ending, but that's being cynical and knowing that certain things aren't going to ever end, right? So while I came away relieved and happy and enjoyed it, certain things just sort of glaze my eyes over.
I want to see what you think about this. Would you like a peanut butter and jelly banh mi?
You know what? People talk about these loose threads, and I think that one is a perfect explanation of David Gordon Green being very David Gordon Green. And I should clarify, like, I like the guy. He seems really sincere, and he seems like the kind of director every actor wants to work with. He's very open to, improvisation and ideas, and he's not slavish to a script. But you get scenes like that, and it's just like, I get it. They're trying to humanize some folks, and those scenes stick out to me, and it completely breaks, for me, the tension that was built. There's got this momentum, right? Like the original Carpenter movie, it is a pressure cooker. There are those scenes, right, where you're having banter, but there's always this ominous tone, right? Whether it's music or the camera work, and it's just building, and explodes. This movie, it just breaks that momentum up so often, and it leaves you wondering, at what cost? Like, is it really worth us learning about this banh mi with PB&J? I don't know.
When I was just thinking about that. If you think about The Thing or The Descent, when the action gets going, you don't cut out to someone looking at a computer screen. Like, you're in this world. Or Drag Me to Hell. Like, I mean, it's comedic, but that movie's going straight towards hell. So you don't really get let up. Or Insidious 2, which I love. That movie's just a roller coaster of dread. So I get what you're saying. You're on this movie and then you get taken out and you laugh. And then, like, do you think that was his, like, homage to the cops from Halloween 5? Do you think he was being too cute?
No, I really don't think so. And if you believe that, like, by all means, go in on it. But I'm not to say this as a flaw on David Gordon Green's part, but I do think this is just one of those signs of somebody who doesn't make their home in horror. Yeah. I just don't believe any other person of the genre would have sort of succumbed to these, because again, he talks, and the crew does too. They talk frequently about how they were writing up to the days of shooting. This wasn't something that they just had ironed out and pat and ready to go. And me being not a filmmaker, I personally have my own philosophies on why that may or may not work. So, whatever. It's his style. I can appreciate that. I think that he brought more good than he did maybe screw up in parts.
Jake Gyllenhaal said working on Stronger was the greatest thing he'd ever done in his career.
And that's the kind of stuff you hear about when they talk about David Gordon Green, right? Like, because I think we might have talked about this before, but Jake Gyllenhaal was the key to getting Jamie Lee Curtis interested in this project. He said, you got to talk to this guy. Just got off working with him on Stronger. He was one of the best experiences, like you said. So it'll be interesting to see if they get him back, because I know Jamie Lee Curtis has already gone on record. She's very happy with this movie, and she said, I might come back if David comes back.
Oh, so Gyllenhaal set it up.
Gyllenhaal. Yeah, and again, as much as we know that we're getting another movie, and as okay as I'd be with David Gordon Green coming back, I would love to see Mike Flanagan take this franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Give it to Mike Flanagan. This guy is ripe and so ready for this kind of movie, especially after The Haunting of Hill House, which I don't know if you finished. Holy shit. I had just such a visceral reaction to, and not so much in the horror sense, but again, dealing even with this movie, trauma and familial trauma. At any rate, I digress on that, but
I just want everyone to know that MFF, we reviewed Absentia, then we both, John and I, loved Oculus, talked about it nonstop. We did a full podcast about Hush, which we couldn't stop raving about.
Love Hush, Hush, and Gerald's Game.
Yep, Gerald's Game. I mean, I wrote about Gerald's Game. I said it was one of the best horror films of last year. We've been on the Flanagan train for a long time, and the Gugino. She was in Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore. So, and she's been in 3 movies with Dwayne Johnson, folks. Get over it. And she was with Nick Cage and Snake Eyes.
Hold on, wait a minute. Back up. How many times has she been in a movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson? Because I'm pretty sure, what's his face? Kevin Hart has been in the most movies with Dwayne. They must
Central
have
Intelligence,
some sort of contract, right?
And Jumanji.
Jumanji. So there's got to be one more. There's got to be at least 1 or 2 more.
Gugino did Faster, San Andreas, and Escape from Witch Mountain.
There's got to be another movie that Kevin Hart's been. I feel like they have some sort of secret contract clause where they just, like, every few movies buddy up again, and I'm frankly, I'm a little annoyed.
Until Jumanji 2, they're not tying the Googe.
I guess so.
But
you're the data man. I'll defer to you.
And the only reason I know that because I had to watch every single Dwayne Johnson movie and write all about the property destruction in each. And also, get this, Faster. And Haunting on Hill House one of those has a reunion because the druggy brother Luke and Gugino are in it.
I didn't realize. I haven't watched too many of the other ones with him in it.
Yeah. How about that, huh?
How about that?
Yeah, I'm dropping. All right, so back to Halloween. I have a question for you. Do you think Michael is becoming the shark from Jaws: The Revenge?
You mentioned that in passing, and I wanted to pick your brain about that a little bit. So, first of all, we don't know. For the listeners out there, Jaws: The Revenge is this sort of wackadoo thesis, right? Where somehow a shark may take revenge on a person. They don't just seek out humans, they seek out a person.
The Brody clan.
Because it's personal. The last of the Brodies, in this sort of way that is very supernatural. With this one, I'm not quite sure I see it because we already know that Michael is no longer related to Laurie. So please unpack this.
Well, the sharks aren't related to the Brodies.
No, I know that, but they're pursuing for that reason.
I like how you had to clarify it. Well, I know that the shark's not related to the Brodies.
Oh, yes, thank you for that too. I mean, Strange New World 2018. But my point is, Michael in this movie, and maybe this isn't apparent to everybody.
He's a shark.
But he's a loose cannon. He's not even necessarily going after Laurie.
So is the shark. The shark in Jaws: Revenge. He's all over the place. So he sets a bunch of traps on Amity, right? Who knows how many traps he set? He finally gets one, right? Then he goes after one of the other people, can't get him. Remember, he sees Laurie, then he goes somewhere else. So he can't get him. Then he goes all the way to the Bahamas. He attacks one of the kids, can't. So he goes after the child on a banana boat, misses because he has bad aim. He's not like, I think the shark from Jaws 4 is like a private detective of the family who's trying to finish business, but he's not very good at it because he's always missing opportunities. He's always there, but he always misses. So maybe he's not a killer and just, doesn't, he or she's not a killer or just not good at it. But the thing's always moving. It's always hunting. It's always following. It always ends up next to the Brodies. And in this movie, that's the same thing that happens. Like, and I mean, it just seems like it's just a thing that's hunting Laurie for no reason. It repeats a lot of kills. It follows things around. It's always moving. Michael's always moving through the prey.
Right.
It just seems like they have this weird bond to each other that shouldn't even exist because they met for 3 seconds 40 years ago. And it's just, I don't know. Michael, I mean, he sets traps. Michael sets traps. The sharks from Jaws. I mean, this is a stretch, guys. This is Stretch Armstrong. I'm Mr. Fantastic right now. Miles Teller, not Ian Gruffeld. This is my theory. Yeah.
I mean, that's some theory, and I don't even know what to say to that, except you have just reminded me that there is a slight connection here. This isn't Halloween 2, but Lance Guest, I believe is his name, has a role in Halloween 2 as Laurie's sort of love interest. He's like an ENT or whatever.
Brody.
He's in. Yeah, he's a Brody in the movie, which I love. I liked him as an actor, so that's my contribution to this string theory of yours.
It is, and I think this string could carry a coconut.
I don't know.
If 2 African swallows had a string, they could take this coconut to Britain.
Hey, you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about the ethics of Michael Myers, because you've got me thinking now about this whole motive deal. We have, what is his name? Help jog my memory. The dancing kid. Did he have a name?
I think I just wrote Dance Party Kid.
Okay, I don't know where the party is. But this kid, and it's a very David Gordon Green exchange, am I right? Where he's talking with his dad.
He was actually a dance student. And if you watch the Hunting of the White-tailed Deer with Josh Brolin and Danny McBride, written by Danny McBride, there's a kid in that movie who talks to Josh Brolin exactly like that. The kid has dance lessons.
Is that like supposed to be a callback?
I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who picked up on it, but it's a movie on Netflix with Josh Brolin and a really weird movie, which I loved. Good ATV accident. But so they, the kid, when he's talking about dance lessons, it took me out of it because I'm like, I've heard this before.
It took you out of it. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
I just had heard it before. I had heard it before.
Gotcha,
and I like the way the kid was like, Dad, I love you. I love these hunting trips. Like, you're my man. But, like, that's just my thing right now.
My heart's in the dance. Yeah.
Like, but I liked how he expressed it to his father. He wasn't being rude. I mean,
No.
Most teenagers wouldn't be that expressive.
No, I liked that. And I actually while we're on deep cuts here, it's interesting because David Gordon Green was actually slated in preparation to direct the Suspiria remake before it went to his friend Luca, which I'm very excited to see. But I'm wondering how much of that was David just saying, like, yeah, I almost got into that movie, because a lot of the movie is giving yourself to the dance. Like, that's part of Suspiria's shtick. And I don't know how much of that was deliberate, but I kind of enjoyed that banter. But, yeah, we see, to nobody's surprise if you're listening to this, it's not a spoiler anymore, that he kills the kid. And I'm pretty sure that's the youngest on his record. I don't know if Michael's killed younger than that. But,
he was trying to wipe out Jamie, right?
That's true, but he never really got her until she was, older of age. So it's icky area, especially when you're considering what else he did to her in that movie. But I digress.
Horrible death of hers.
Yeah. Well, there were actually 2 deaths. In the producer's cut, she's simply stabbed or shot or something. I forget. It's something less bloody. And in the sort of theatrical cut, it was the farm machinery, as you probably are referring to. But at any rate, the dance kid scene made me think, and somehow, about this shark and motive, right? This idea that when we're on the first arrival of Michael in this movie, when he has his mask on and you have that really sick tracking shot, which I liked a lot, you do see him encounter a baby. Now, I don't have a problem with him sort of seeing the baby, acknowledging the baby, and not doing anything. But why do you think that was there? And it doesn't bother me as much. It just sort of makes me wonder, what was the deliberate director's choice to say here? Like, yes, Michael will kill kids, but not these kids. Like, how young? Apparently Michael has an age limit in his ethics book.
I think it proved that he hates people who makes bologna sandwiches.
Oh yes, that's true. Yes, there was
a wear red sweaters.
Halloween 2 in the 90s. Yeah. That's true.
Can I tell you something? I felt like that scene was like a pencil that hadn't been sharpened yet. It was pointless.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. And I do know they shot it a few times and had to get it just right, because those shots are difficult. But it's all right. I liked it.
I mean, he takes a hammer, just wipes out a poor sandwich-making woman, and then walks into another house for no reason and kills a lady. Why'd he go in that house to kill the other lady?
So, do you want an answer? Do you want me to entertain the string?
Yeah.
So, and maybe this is just me, like, postulating out my ass, but that sounds really gross,
sounds really
actually.
bad.
But maybe this is just me postulating. I think this scene is to stress this is no longer about Michael and Laurie. He's not chasing her. He is just a loose cannon. He's a psychotic mass murderer. He's on Halloween. He's got his mask on. He's ready to go. That's what I liked about the scene. It encapsulated that spirit of going trick-or-treating, except obviously it's just tricks for him. And even the sort of like knife through the throat part, like, it was gory, but it wasn't like stupidly over the top. So I think I liked it more than that. But you're right, it was a little unrefined, and I'm okay with that.
Wait, so you're saying that he just got out and he wouldn't even have attacked Laurie, but they just kind of drove him there? By
the failing of the script, in my opinion, I absolutely believe this, yes.
Whoa, I like this movie better now. Because remember when they think he's dead because somehow they hit Michael Myers with a car later on? And they're like, we gotta get her close to Laurie because her energy will bring him back.
Yeah, I think, are you referring to Dr. Sartain?
Yeah, and he didn't kill the girl in the car, too. He didn't kill the granddaughter in the car when they were sitting next to each other, cruising.
No, he didn't. And I guess as good a time as any to discuss that whole bombshell, because I think inarguably that is where the movie lost the people who didn't like it. The sort of twist, quote unquote, that involves the doctor who has been watching Michael for 40 years, suddenly wants to do a little field experiment, and let him run loose and see what happens. And by your point, try to get him in the same room as Laurie and see what would happen. And again, that's to my argument. Michael would not have found his way to that compound. He's a smart guy, but he's not looking through a phone book anymore to find this stuff. He's not looking through Dr. Loomis's old study like he did in H2O to find Lori. He is out doing his thing. And to my knowledge, and I don't know if this is ever really unpacked, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really know what happened on that bus. I'm of the mind that Dr. Sartain sabotaged it to let him out.
Just to see what would happen if he saw, like, do you even think he remembered Lori?
Michael?
Yeah.
I do. I think by the time they come face to face, so to speak, you know, in that mirror shot, which is actually Nick Castle for that one shot, there's enough gravity, I think, there where he does his little head tilt. That's implied that he recognizes her.
Oh, this is interesting.
I mean, you don't get stabbed in the eye with a coat hanger and basically lose an eye and let that go after 40 years. I for one would be a little bitter still.
I mean, so you just think he got let loose like piranhas, Piranha 3D, and he just was going around killing people, and then they hit him with a car, drive him to Lori just to see what would happen?
I mean, I don't know if you're poking holes in my argument or the scripts, but yeah, that's honestly the plot. Like, that was the big conceit to give them that conflict together. Otherwise, you're sort of relying on Lori to find him, which I guess you could do, but...
So, that's very interesting. So, you know what? I need to unpack this for a little bit. Let's take a break. Let's come back, because, I mean, my mind's exploded. So, I'm like Jaws from Jaws 1, just blowing up. So, when we come back, we'll talk more Halloween. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks, and I had some time to digest it. Adam and I talked, and so now the plot of this movie is that a doctor wants to let a serial killer loose to see what would happen. So he lets a serial killer loose, and the serial killer kills.
It is a little bit, and that's my theory at least, and I only say this because there's little evidence to support otherwise. Now, my biggest hang-up with this quote-unquote twist that we were referring to earlier was, does this doctor who spends 40 years of his career really hedge his bets on this being some sort of like breakthrough discovery and discovering motive, right? Is he really like, oh shit, 40-year anniversary's coming up, now would be a real good time to see how this goes, and just like hatch this plan? I don't know.
This is very
and maybe I missed something very vital. I could have very well missed it, but either we have two options, right? Option A, he just happens to be transported the night before Halloween, Michael is, and he, using all the prowess of the shape and being a supernatural force, escapes. That's one theory. Second theory is a little convenient that Dr. Sartain survived that break and was still alive when they found him. And now, after knowing that this was his interest, why wouldn't he have been able to just free Michael? It just seems a little more than preposterous to me, but at any rate, that's where I'm sort of landing right now.
What'd you think about the scene that was taken from Halloween 1 where the granddaughter looks over and sees Jamie Lee staring at her from the classroom?
I don't know about your theater, but that got a lot of laughs in mine, and I loved it. That and obviously the other callback that was very effective with Lori falling off the balcony and then disappearing, right, when Michael finds her on the ground. Yeah, those scenes both I really enjoyed because they were callbacks, but cleverly done.
Yeah, no, I liked them, and I liked how they handled that. And also on the Lambcast, when I was talking to all the guys, they're like, Mark, you're obsessed with bed sheets. And guess what happens in this movie, Adam?
Yeah.
Guess what? They're laundry.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last time, but more bed sheets.
More bed sheets getting eye holes cut in them. Mm-hmm. Jeez Louise.
He's got such a playful sense of humor too, and I like that's maintained in this movie. I would have liked more of that, and it reminded me of the little jack-o'-lantern he made of the officer's face.
He did that in this movie?
So it is a bit gory. Maybe you missed it, but towards the latter, the final act, I want to say it's the same officer involved in the Banh Mi, yeah, but his face is carved in the fashion of a jack-o'-lantern. There are no eyes, and his mouth is sort of a zigzag pattern that resembles a jack-o'-lantern. So, did he see them? When
did they see these bodies?
I'm sure it's closer to the beginning of the third act.
Oh, no, was he the one wedged into the closet, or was that the husband?
This was not. This was, I believe she finds it in the car. I believe she finds it. I believe it's Allison's character who finds it. I may be mistaken, but yeah, one of the officers' heads is carved in the fashion of a jack-o'-lantern.
Oh wait, doesn't the husband find it when the car drives up?
Oh, perhaps that's it.
That's what it is.
I may be mistaken, but yeah, it's definitely one of those officers.
And he gets wiped out. Poor husband.
One of the kill I liked, weirdly enough, and I don't know why it stood out to me as it did, but the floodlight kill, the sort of sensors, right, where the kid is drunk and delirious in that lawn. Yeah, I enjoyed that sequence a little bit. It was playful and it was also pretty spooky.
He has a very dry sense of humor, Michael, because he never talks. He's not like a giggler. He's just very dry. I think he's a fan of Peter Sellers. He would watch Being There and enjoy it.
What do you think he would say if he could talk, though? I mean, okay, let's pretend like Rob Zombie's movies never happened and he didn't just say one word, which was die. Wow.
In the Halloween one, he'd just be grungy. But in this one, I think he would just be very dry. I think he'd walk up to you and go, 2 men walk into a bar. The third one duck. And then he'd kill you. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe they'll take it in a new direction where, like, they got to reinvent the character in some way. And maybe that's not in 3D, but maybe it's like, oh, we're going to let Michael talk now.
Just be super dry about it, everything.
I mean, I would hope they would heed the warnings of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise where, more talking equals less scary, but I suppose that's up to greater minds.
And you can't have a rap song like Freddy did. I mean, he could, but not like Freddy's rap.
Yeah. I actually tried to score that on vinyl like a couple months ago.
Nice.
Mondo. My wallet.
So we've basically talked all around this movie, but I guess what we haven't talked about is I guess the adventures of the granddaughter. What did you think about her kind of journey through the night?
I think they didn't give her a whole lot to do, and as I loved the actress who played the role.
She's cool.
I think that she has a worthwhile connection to her grandmother, which I think was important because that clearly was lacking with Karen and Laurie Strode. But even stuff with like the boyfriend, right? It's so transparently used as a mechanism to keep her phone out of her hands, right? Like, why did that scene happen where her boyfriend cheated and got angry at her and then took her phone and dumped it in the Jell-O or whatever the hell they did, or the pudding? It was to get rid of her phone, to make the plot move forward in a way that she couldn't just call her mom or call the cops, blah, blah, blah. So stuff like that bothered me a little bit, and I would have liked to have seen her given more work to work with. But other than that, I thought she was an important part of the movie story-wise.
I felt bad for her friend played by Vicky. Oh, no, Virginia Gardner, and her friend was Vicky.
The character Vicky, yeah.
Yeah, she was nice, and she got wiped out horribly.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to, I think, just this lack of focus. Why are we seeing the mayor or whomever of Haddonfield show up in a cowboy cap? Is this supposed to be a Jaws moment where he's like, we're not going to shut down Halloween? Like, why are these scenes happening when I'd much rather spend more time with, these babysitters who have some pretty good banter? I think the dialogue especially was great, and needless to say, that young boy she was babysitting was just like off the charts entertaining.
Gibral Nantambo.
Bring him back for the second one, please. Just
He's
whatever
smart.
They do.
He runs away.
He's very smart. You're right.
You're right, though. There's the mayor who's in this. Like, I don't even know why he's in that girl's house killing her. And then he gets the boyfriend somehow.
And even the same argument can be made for the journalists, the podcasters. Like, they set up the exposition, they do these things, and they're wiped out pretty quick. But it's all just a way for Michael to get his mask.
Yep. In a Halloween H2O kind of way.
Yeah, a little bit more longer-winded. Mm-hmm,
and I guess, I don't know, man. So you and I, right? So, David Gordon Green originally wanted them to be videographers, but he's like, the camera would just be too dated 20 years from now, so he had them be podcasters.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Which might be antiquated by then, but who knows? Podcasts are big. Wait, I have one. I shouldn't be talking smack about it. But
so respect where we are.
So they show up in the prison that Michael's at, and like, hey, we got your mask. I would never go to Hannibal Lecter and be like, hey, man, I got some fava beans.
And a nice Chianti.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Oh, God. I love that performance. But, like, I kind of like that they were kind of out of their league a little bit, right?
Yeah. And I think one of the big hangups I had with them was that their way of introducing Laurie after all these years, I felt it lacking in gravity. Like they show up, they obviously, bargain with her money-wise, and there's a very brief exchange. There's nothing really of substance to gain, but knowing that Laurie is very clearly disturbed, very cynical, wants nothing to do with these people. But, I would have liked to have seen a bigger, more Sarah Connor moment, right? Like even in the trailers, you kind of see her walking up to this gun range, blasting away. I would have taken that as our first reintroduction back with the character.
Can I ask you a question, Adam?
Yeah, it's your podcast.
I just want you to take this seriously. So, in a lot of movies, I've noticed that when there's women shooting things or stabbing things, they have the most inconvenient things to shoot. So in Underworld, Celine is blowing busts, like rock, stone, marble busts that are probably very old and expensive. She's shooting those. And Daredevil, Jennifer Garner, I wrote a post about how the pulley system.
I remember that.
Yeah,
yes,
so I wrote an article. Absurd. I wrote an article about how she had to rig everything on timers and like individual timers, 140 pounds of sand. So she draws faces on sandbags, times it perfectly, knows exactly when each is going to drop, and she does it in her penthouse with sandbags. Who's going to clean that up? And then this one, Jamie Lee Curtis is shooting mannequins, but she also has mannequins in her upstairs house, like in her upstairs room. So why are all these people shooting very inconvenient things?
Well, for Laurie's argument, I suppose she wanted something that slightly resembled Myers, which probably would not help with the PTSD, you'd think, really. But it's interesting that you mentioned the upstairs. To my knowledge, the original film's ending made sort of a use of that room in a different way entirely, but it's meant to be a replica of the final showdown in the first Halloween. I believe it was their intent to recreate a scene, and John Carpenter wisely talked them out of it. Didn't want them to sort of rehash the history. But yeah, that room was modeled in the fashion of the first movie's conclusion scene.
Why?
So I like I said, they wanted to recreate a scene and explain, right, how the original movie ended in some way. I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm glad they didn't do that.
It just makes Michael less scary to me, knowing that he's just chilling behind a mannequin.
Does it though? It's kind of creepy. I mean, he resembles the mannequins, and
he's waiting. He must have been really happy when he saw those mannequins. Like, sweet.
Oh yeah, no, he was probably loving it. And I mean, even the granddaughter, when she finds herself surrounded by the mannequins, she's like freaking out because it is pretty terrifying. Like, oh yeah, this is where my grandma goes to do target practice. I'd be pretty freaked out too.
The audience laughed a lot when she started yelling.
Really?
Yeah. And the next saw the mannequins. Maybe we're just a bunch of jaded Atlanta folk.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. It's just So her plan was to trap Michael in the basement by waiting in the basement, or is that just like a counter plan?
I mean, I can't speak for the screenwriters, but it appeared to me like that was her end game, to get him in that house, to get him down there.
Jeez Louise.
And I liked that because it was similar, right? She's hunting him, but it was a little different. It's not her grabbing that axe in Halloween H2O, which again is an incredible scene. I love that moment, and the music swells up and you get this very triumphant showdown marker. In this one, it's a little more subtle. I guess. And it's stretched, right? Like you've got it starting with him breaking through that door with his hand, and what is she? You help me out here. She shoots. She gets a number off him. She gets 1 or 2 fingers, I think.
Yeah, take some of his fingers, and then he also gets shot by her earlier too.
Yeah, he takes a few slugs,
and he gets hit by a car.
He gets hit by a car, takes a few slugs, and he gets knifed a couple times, I believe,
and loses 2 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
That's one less than. Have you seen Apostle yet on Netflix? Oh, never mind. Mm-mm. Listen to our podcast. Megan and I did a great job on it. It's up now.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, it'll be up soon. It'll be up before this podcast goes up.
Whenever you feel like editing it.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know, man. This movie, I'm just a humble. It's going to make a lot of money, and it's going to have a sequel, and it's well made. And I guess I do like that Jamie Lee Curtis or Laurie Strode isn't Sarah Connor.
I like that too.
Ripley. She's prepared for this her whole life, but she's also just shot inanimate objects and isn't messing with the shape. And in the prison yard, not the prison yard, but in the mental institution yard in their boxes, when he starts feeling weird, it messes with everybody else, right?
I love that scene, yeah.
So does he, like, let, like, something off of him that, like, crazy people sense? Because everyone went nuts when he started reacting a little bit.
Well, was it the reaction or was it their perceived knowledge that, oh, this guy brought the mask? And who knows how much they know about this mask. But I think if you're in a loony bin, pardon my crassness, but if you're in a place like that,
a state institution.
Thank you. Yes, let's be correct here. You don't just bring a mask in and not get some kind of reaction. So I don't know how much of that was Michael's sort of aura reawakening, but I think that's a good point, though, because immediately following that scene, which I actually would have liked to have gone on, maybe ended a different way, but it cuts to the titles. And what's interesting about the titles, and this was something I actually asked one of my friends about when he saw the movie before me. I said, I don't want any spoilers. Just tell me, is there a pumpkin in the title sequence? He goes, yes. So when we do get to that title sequence, right after that scene with the mask, it is inflating. It is reawakening, so to speak. Right? This thing, like the Halloween franchise itself, that is degraded and sort of fallen apart over time, it's coming together again. It's happening again. And I kind of liked that touch. I would have liked to have seen them use a real pumpkin. It looked a little CG, but I did think that was a kind of clever way to materialize that symbolism.
I wonder if my liking of H2O kind of annoys me about this movie, because they're saying, oh, this is a direct reboot, we're retconning everything, this is reinflating. But I liked, when I saw H2O in the theater, it was packed, and everyone went nuts. And it has its faults, but having everyone be like, yeah, this movie's not that good.
I think time can be unfair. I liked it a lot, too.
It made a lot of money.
And my biggest complaint, which is not a bad thing, is that the masks are inconsistent. We talked about this before, but there's like 3 or 4 different masks, and, what are you going to do? But, I still love Halloween H2O, and I think the beauty of these movies, and any movie in general, whenever you get a remake or a redo or a requel or whatever the hell you want to call it, so, your favorites are always going to be there. So if people want to be, jaded and cynical about H2O now, that's on them. But I still value that movie.
Yeah, it's still good. So I don't really have to listen to people. Even if you remake a movie, the remake's still there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So you kind of have the pulse of the people. Like, what has been the reaction you've kind of felt from people in regards to this movie?
I think most people came away enjoying it. I think most people came away thinking it was fun. Like, even my own mother, who is not a genre head by any means, she enjoys a good time at the movies, but is definitely into the more like independent, critical darling set. She went with my dad and they enjoyed it. They thought it was fun. And I think that's really all people were looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, people want to be scared, sure. And I'm sure to some people it has its scary moments, but I, for one, was not very scared, which is okay because I've seen plenty of these movies. It would take quite a bit. But for me, I get the sense that most people enjoyed it, and I think that's reflected in Rotten Tomatoes' score. But yeah, there's definitely people who just felt it was sort of a hollow shell of what it was trying to be. And I think, to my argument made earlier, I think most of that had to do with the atmosphere. I think it was just a little bit unfocused, had a lot of characters going on. And, hopefully if they come back, the same crew and cast and creative team, I hope they just find a way to tighten that up in the next.
You know what I gotta realize is that I watch a lot of movies and I analyze a lot of movies and I've seen a lot of movies. So sometimes I get in this zone where I know so much about film I almost think other people should. And I obviously don't think that, but I'm definitely in a bubble.
I get that way too. And I have to check myself.
Yeah, I guess I'm definitely in a bubble. So when you have to look at movies like Lost World or Force Awakens or Halloween, they were smart to do what they did. These movies
business-wise, absolutely.
They've made money. They were told well. They hired correctly. I think they cast well. A lot of people complain about J.J. Abrams' Force Awakens being a remake, but I love Kylo Ren. I think Rey is great. I love the casting of that. I like the idea of, Jurassic World, the part goes wrong again, but I still like the Indominus Rex and shady business moving on, and then the T-Rex. I like that idea. So I guess this was a very smart move by Jason Blum. Carpenter was a part of it. Carpenter did the score. They held on to the movie's roots. I mean, they had a mask from Halloween 3, for gosh sakes, featured in one of the scenes.
Yeah.
So, as much as my complaints are, this is coming from a absolute, cinephile. So
it's coming from a place of love, yeah. And I think even knowing that a lot of the diehard fans were really involved in making this movie, I don't know of a sequel like Halloween, especially that had real people who used to lurk the message boards and hire them as producers. Like you got Ryan Turek, who used to be on Shock Till You Drop or whatever. These people involved who were diehard lifelong fans, and I think it shows in the movie, even if it has its warts and all.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's a very I don't know. What are your overall thoughts about this movie? What grade would you give it? Where would you place it in the canon of Halloween?
Yeah, and I actually refrained from making any sort of social posts about it because I felt like it was so fresh, and I had to give it this sort of time to sit on that spectrum of where I'd place it. And I'm glad you asked, because I was thinking about it earlier today, and I definitely had more fun than I expected to, but I definitely wasn't as scared as I wanted to be, and I wasn't surprised as I wanted to be. But all that said, what I got was leftover pizza. It's still good, and I wouldn't say it's my favorite sequel. I would say it's in the top 3, but I would still put 2 and 4 in the same league. I would say it's 2 and 4, which have their own different strengths, mind you. And this one certainly has its own strengths in writing and direction and just professional work. But yeah, I would say that it's definitely a top 3, top 4. And I don't like giving movies grades. It's something that I think is just tacky and arbitrary. But yeah, if we had to put it on a spectrum, I'd probably give it a solid B+, A-.
That's I've been writing those reviews for 8 years. I never give movies grades.
Yeah, I think it's just one thing that's really, I think people know by now, it doesn't mean anything except the TLDR, right, for your review. Why do that to yourself if you're taking the time to write up a small blurb? Just read the damn thing.
I think it's their idea with what they did, how they filmed it was an A idea, just kind of who they picked it around. And then I think it's just a good solid B rated movie.
Sure.
And I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, man. I really had high hopes because I don't know. I watched, Blumhouse. I think he's really, it's hit or miss, but I really enjoyed Get Out. Happy Death Day was one of the happiest surprises of horror films I've seen in a long time. I really enjoyed that movie. I'm looking forward to the sequel. So for me, I wasn't even looking to be scared in this movie. I was just looking to have something maybe a little different, which I like the moments with Julian and the kid talking about dance class. Those were kind of some of my favorite moments, even though I got taken out because I was thinking about another Danny McBride movie. But I don't know. I guess just a lot of it felt the same, but that's smart because the last movie was Resurrection and that was crap and no one really watched it. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was so decidedly different. I mean, even if you're talking about comparing Halloween 3, the Tommy Lee Wallace movie to the originals, I would even argue that Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is probably the biggest black sheep, but that's just me.
And I don't know what favor you're doing yourself by I think it's smart to retcon the movies, but a lot of it has been just ragging on the other movies. And I don't know how smart that is for your franchise to come out with a new movie for a new generation saying this is a sequel to the first one because the ones in the middle are not good. Does that make sense?
It's difficult. No, it does make sense. And I have some mixed feelings about this. I mean, first of all, consider that a lot of the movies, for a time at least, I don't know what the current status is, they were owned by different studios and different production teams worked on them. You had Compass International, you had Universal, you had Miramax, you had Dimension. I mean, you had just this sort of mess of creative teams get involved, and that's why you had the failures of Part 6 especially. So I don't know if it's a dick move necessarily. I think they just saw the business of reintroducing a character and finding the path of least resistance and not over explaining things. I mean, it's as simple as looking at the title, right? They're not gonna go with something overly ambitious in trying to explain where this fits into a timeline. It's just, hey, you remember Halloween? We're back. And I think that's not just smart business-wise. I think creatively it's probably for the best because I'm of the radical mind, at least in my opinion, that no movie franchise, Terminator, this, Friday the 13th, whatever, should ever really truly be beholden to bad movies that preceded it. If a director or a writing team made a crap movie, what gain is there? Is there any virtue to continuing that thread? I don't think so. This is a business. We all know this. And sure, there's an amount of artistry that goes into it and what have you, but I think there's a time and a place where you recognize this is a dead end. Let's move on to something that's a bit more creatively satisfying.
Yeah, you're right. You can't. Laurie Strode's dead, technically.
I mean,
so
yeah, that was a horrible way out. Too.
Yeah, so they had to do that. So, I mean, it's smart. This movie's a very smart idea. Just would have liked to have seen it executed a little bit more focused on in reality. All right. So, do you have any final thoughts? And I just have one quick question for you before we head out of here. Any final thoughts about the movie?
I'm fearful of your question. No, I guess not. Except that I know this will get a sequel. It's being fast tracked at the moment, as if the internet is to be believed. And fingers crossed for Mike Flanagan.
Oh man, that's awesome. I would love it. I mean, well, he's Dr. Sleep right now. I'm really excited to see what he does with Dr. Sleep. Because I don't know have you read that book?
I haven't, but I'm excited to see. Do you know if that's for Netflix or do you know if that's getting a big screen?
It's got to be big screen. I think it's going to be big screen. I hope so. Because it's a pretty epic movie. And you know what's crazy? A lot of the stuff in Dr. Sleep really does apply to Haunting of Hill House. It really does. So I'm
a lot of the sort of family trauma issue stuff.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what he does with it. Because that book legit terrified me. I don't know if you heard the story about this, but this is random. But Megan and I were going on our honeymoon. We were flying to Italy, and our TVs didn't work. And even our lights in our seats didn't work. So the really nice attendants beamed some lights on us. So I'm in a completely dark area on a 14-hour flight, and I read Dr. Sleep. And it tore me up, man. That's a pretty raw book. So it got me. So I'm really kind of looking forward to see what Flanagan does with that. But here's my question. John Squires, I read this yesterday just because John Squires shared my
apathy.
The Evil Dead franchise is the best franchise. He yes. Bruce Campbell actually tweeted it out. And he got 5,000 likes on it, or 6,000. And so he, one of my favorite actors shared one of my articles.
That's got to feel good.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a bucket list thing. So he shared that, John Squires, but I also read on John Squires' Twitter feed that he said that Scream 4 is, if that was released today, it would make Halloween-esque money. That same movie. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thought, because I think Scream 4 is very grumpy. I think it's almost behind the times. I love Arquette in that movie. I love Courtney Cox. I'm always happy seeing Neve Campbell around, being an OG, tackling the problems. But that movie just it feels grumpy to me. I don't think that would be as big as a Halloween would today. I just want to see what you thought about that.
Oh, golly. That's a great question, but I fear almost one that's too ambitious to unpack. So I would say to that, it would do well. I would do well because I think right now we're in the peak swing of nostalgia horror and just horror in general. So the audience might not have been there at the time when it came out. I remember actually, as weirdly as it sounds, that was the last movie review I ever wrote. Sad, but at any rate, yeah, I think the appetite was different then. So I think if it were to come out today, it would certainly see a bit bigger of an audience. But it's funny you say that because somebody also said the same thing for Jennifer's Body, the Diablo Cody written sort of satire, and just this, again, to the point of campy, nostalgic horror that's having its moment now. And I don't know if that one necessarily would, because, again, both of these movies are very tied to their times. I think Jennifer's Body was sort of reflective of this, I don't know, maybe I'm dating myself here, but MySpace era where all these indie bands were trying to make it big. And apparently in this movie, all you had to do was sacrifice a girl to make it in the business. It was just a very dark, cynical yarn for that time. But for Scream, to that same point, this was the height of, at least the beginning of social media stardom. Now that's just so ubiquitous. But I think without getting too detailed into the spoilers, which I'm guessing most of your listeners have seen the movie, that movie has a pretty it's got its edge with commentary. It's saying that, if you want to be famous, you've got to be a victim and sort of impose that on yourself in a very manufactured kind of way. And I liked it, but you're right, it is a bit of a grumpy movie in that way.
I just watched it 2 days ago.
It was, I think, on AMC.
And I wasn't that big of a fan of it. And then I read that quote. I'm like, did I misread this movie? but I've watched it a few times now, and I've never really been a fan. I like Judy Hicks. Mary Shelton's really good in that movie. Funny.
Oh yeah, she's funny. Yeah.
The lemon bars. I know this is off topic on Halloween, but I guess, there are people who do, they're on Twitch. You get paid to watch people do things. You record your life. You know,
Right.
Instagram stories. So maybe it was ahead of its time at that, but it also felt grumpy, though, with its complaints about Saw and, like, torture porn. And
Yeah.
this movie had more, I mean, I know it's making a comment, but, it also had, maybe it's super meta, but it had more kills than Saw. So it's, like, an interesting, like, is it making a joke about Saw being gory, then it kills more people? Does it not get the humor? Like, what is really? I just can't. It's hard. I have a hard time understanding Scream 4.
Yeah, your comment about the meta especially sticks out. I recall the intro is just like fake out after fake out, and you're left wondering what left is there to say in this genre. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I think the movie just takes it to that nth degree. So to that point, I don't really see another Scream happening. And, maybe there will be. I think that's, as long as it makes money, it's inevitable. I know there was a series on MTV, but like, I guess if they find something to say with it, they will. But yeah, that just sort of reached, for that time at least, a dead end for me thematically.
Yeah, I would love it, though. I would love for Nev Campbell and David Arquette and Courtney Cox to come back, and then bring Randy back. He has a twin brother all along.
Randy. No, not without Wes. Poor Wes. Rest in peace.
Oh, man. But, oh, yeah, you're right. That's done. I couldn't see that happen. Yeah, you're right. But, no, this was fun, man. I'm really happy that you came on, and I'm excited to see
thanks for having me back. Thank you.
What are we going to tackle next, man?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I'm just coming off this one. I guess just don't keep me waiting until the next Halloween movie to bring me back.
Oh, no. I mean, just think of something and let me know. I'm easy.
Absolutely.
And then, I'll just talk nothing about but Pauly Shore movies. I mean, we want to do Pauly Shore movies? Want to rank them? Do you want to watch all 5?
I guess I better get started researching, huh?
I'm not going to do that to you. Because I feel like I would be keeping you captive on a podcast, like just forcing you to talk about Pauly Shore movies.
That sounds like my personal hell.
All right, let's do it. All right. So, hey guys, thank you so much for listening. Also, listen to our Apostle and Bad Times at El Royale. Also, if you didn't listen to the podcast that Adam and I did about the Jerky Antics of Michael Myers, kids I hear are loving it nowadays. They're actually filming themselves listening to it, Scream 4 style, and then they're releasing their facial reactions to our podcast. And it's had more listens than our podcast. So that's pretty interesting.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
the kids are not all right.
So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Adam Clement, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.